Hello everyone and welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. Okay guys, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how to cut this trendy sleeve so you can see how beautiful it looks like. So at the end of the day, this was what I came up with. Okay, so let's just get started. So this is the fabric that I'm going to be making use for today's tutorial, and then I have my pattern paper already laid out on the table. Okay, so I'm going to explain. So before I start, I'm using a slash and spread kind of pattern. So I came down by 8 inches and just made a straight line on that point. So that's the part that we're going to be pleating for the sleeve. So the next thing I'm going to do now, measure half of my round sleeve measurement, which is 16. That's 8. I'll divide it into 2. I have 8. I'll mark it and then came down by about 5 inches, and then I place my curve and then curved it into that line point. So this is like the start part of my sleeve, but we're still going to extend. And then the next thing, I'll measure the sleeve length. I'll mark it. I marked about 13 thereabouts. So I'll just straight connect it with a straight ruler. And then the next thing, from that point, I'm going to give that part a curve. You know, the way our sleeve normally curves out. So that's what I'm trying to do. I just curved it out. And then the next thing, I'm going to look for the wideness of my sleeve. So I'll use my how wide that's how tight I want my sleeve to be. I'll divide that into 2 and then I place it and then connect it to that point like you see. So I'll do that, and then you can see our basic sleeve is formed, and then we have the extra on top. So that extra 8 inches, I'm just going to put a line there. So this line is going to serve as a start line, and then I'll place my pattern curve. Remember that 8 inches that we use for half of our sleeve measurement. I'll take half of that 8, which is 4. This is just like a guide. It's optional. You can decide not to do it. You can just place your patterns directly and then slope it into the armhole part. Okay, so I'm just sloping it into the armhole. Remember the first armhole we did. So at the end of the day, so I'm just trying to blend that in properly so it stays nice and good. So at the end of the day, this up part, that up part, this part, that's the part that we're going to pleat. From that up, we're going to pleat it up to this to achieve those folds on our sleeve. Okay, so that's basically our sleeve is done. So the next thing now, I am going to cut this out. Okay, I'll cut that out already, and then the next thing I'm going to do, I'll add extra. You remember that sleeve? If you take a good look at the sleeve, that sleeve has one kind of pointier part. So you can see that pointy part up there. So I'm just trying to gum it down, just to like tape it down, so that I'll create that V kind of effect that it has at the nip of the sleeve. So I came in by about 5 inches. You can do more than that, depends on how much you want it to point out. Okay, so from that point, I'm just trying to connect it. That is like just to form my round and sleeve parts. Okay, basically. So that's what I'm trying to do. And then from this part, I'm going to slope that part, that V. I will now slope it into the side of the sleeve. Okay, so this sleeve, you actually need to cut this sleeve on open. That side of your sleeve, you cut it open. So that is why you see that my sleeve is open like this. So at the end of the day, I'll now trim that excess out. So now I have the shape of the sleeve that I want. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now, I'm going to place this on my fabric, and then I'll show you guys what we need to do. So placing it on the fabric, so you can see, so that's our folded end, but it's not going to be folded anymore. So you are going to cut it. I'll add stitching allowance to the side of the sleeve, and then I'll just cut everything, just cut it all through. So after cutting it all through, I'm going to cut out another pieces that I'm going to use for the lining though. Okay, so I'm just trying to open up that tiny part. Okay, so cut that open, and then you are going to have something like this, and then put a notch at that point, that line point, that 8 inches line. So that would serve as guide for us to know where we're going to place. So you take it to my machine that I'm going to stitch the side of the sleeve. So now I'm back to my sewing machine, and then I'm placing the sleeve together. It's actually one sleeve, but it is divided into two. So I'm going to stitch the side of the sleeve, not the armhole area, note. So I'll join that side back just the way our sleeve is usually joined together. After joining it together, the next thing I am going to do now, I'm going to join the lining piece. That's the two lining piece. I'll join the actual piece to the lining piece. I'll sew it all around, okay? So I'll join it at the down part first and then turn it and then secure it down just the way we normally do when we're sewing our sleeve. So I'm just trying to press it down that way. And then from that point, I'll stitch all on this right side now, stitch everything to secure all of my edges down, okay? So that's what I'm trying to do right now. So I'm just trying to straighten everything out, and then I'll join the sides to all of the top. So after that, I'm going to trim out any excess that I have. I'll just trim it out nicely, and then still trimming, still on the trimming process, okay? So there's something that you need to take a good look at. That point, I'm going to notch the part where I'm going to get my pleats up to. Okay, so from that part, I'm literally going to pleat, but before then, so I'm just trying to adjust. Okay, I'll open up the sleeve back. Remember that pointy part. So that part now is a little bit curvy now, but I'm going to cut it out straight. I'm going to make it as flat as possible. So it's not pointy anymore, it's flat. You understand? So it needs to be, remember that triangle's flat, so it has to be flat. So from that part, I'm going to stitch, pleat all of those parts. But that straight part that I trimmed out, I'm not going to, I'm not going to stitch that part. So I'll show you. So the next thing, I'm going to start pleating from the edge of the line that I made, as in that straight part on the top part. So I'll pleat the side, but that top part is still not pleated. And then I'll pleat the other side also of the sleeve. Just make sure you pleat. And then after pleating, so I'm just trying to cut off every excess. Remember that top part, so I'm trying to straighten it more so you can see when you fold it. So I'm going to stitch this part close, and then remember that straight part, so I'll stitch it close like that. You understand? You close it straight, and then our pleats are there. So I'll do that, and then you see it on the mannequin. So at the end of the day, you can see that pointy part. It is looking nice and good. So, and then you join the side. So at the end of the day, we're able to achieve the sleeve. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. Don't just watch. Please like the video. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.